My name is Charity Moore. I'm currently a junior at Utah Valley University studying business management and event planning. I want to start off today by having you think about some of the most important relationships in your life, whether that's a romantic relationship, someone in your family, or a friendship. Now think about some of the stressful things that have happened to you this year, whether it's because of the pandemic or not. Now think about how those stressful things have affected those relationships. It's very normal for stress to affect our relationships, and sadly, sometimes that stress leads to neglect of relationships. So, let's talk about how we can maintain those healthy relationships even in the midst of a pandemic or any other stressful things that might be going on in our lives. I want to start out by showing you a clip from one of my favorite TV shows, The Office.
My place and we hit the tin sound. No, I don't want to do any of that. Duh. Which is why I was joking about doing it. Just stop. Just stop doing it. You're going to drive me crazy. Fine, I'll just go sit at my desk and be quiet. Sorry I annoyed you with my friendship. And I'm also sorry that a lot of people here, for some reason, think it's funny to steal someone's personal property and hide it from them. Here's a little news flash. It's not funny. In fact, it's pretty freaking unfunny.
Okay, so here we have a pretty stressful and very intense situation. We have Andy, who is the one that punched the wall, talking to his boss, Michael. And really, all he wants to do is to get on his boss's good side, to make some friends, and be seen as a good employee. But this comes off very intensely and in a way that Michael doesn't appreciate. And so he ends up lashing out at him and making Andy very upset. And then in the background, we have Jim, who's hid Andy's phone and is trying to play a joke on him. And this probably wasn't the best timing for that. So let's talk about communication, because that whole situation could have been avoided if there was good communication present from the beginning. As we can see, because there wasn't presentation, stress and negative feelings really just were bottled up and ended up just exploding. And something that's important to remember about communication is that it's not just talking to someone. In fact, communication is more about listening than about talking. So that can be really scary because you have to be very vulnerable to have good communication. And I know for me, it was really hard for a long time because I hate confrontation. I don't like making people feel bad. But I was able to recognize that there's some very healthy and good ways that you can communicate with people without it feeling like you're attacking them. So let's talk about some of those ways that you can be more vulnerable and communicate better with the people that you love. One of those ways is using I feel statements. So things such as, I feel sad when you do this, or when you do this, it makes me feel like this. And that's something that is very non-confrontational because it's just how you're feeling. And on one end, it allows someone to feel like you're being open with them and letting them know how you're feeling. But also, someone can't tell you that that's not how you're feeling because they don't know. They can't tell you how you're feeling. Only you can tell them. And sometimes it's important to you say that verbally. I know a lot of us sometimes feel like people can read our minds, and as nice as that would be, sometimes they can't. Some of us are a lot better at hiding our emotions than others, but it's important to just get those emotions and feelings out there and let people you love know how you're feeling. And it doesn't even have to be anything that they did. It can just be how you're feeling about your day, or how you're feeling about a certain situation or something that's going on in your life. It's important to have those talks. And something else, on the other hand, is not just you telling people how you feel, but you listening to how they feel. So take some time every day and just set time aside with someone you love and put away all distractions. Put away your phone and work. Just put it all aside and take time to listen, because that is a huge part of communicating, and nothing's going to change if you're not listening and acting. So I want to talk to you about a book that I read in one of my relationships classes. This book's called How to Avoid Falling in Love with a Jerk by John Van Epp, and he has a PhD in psychology and has some really great information in this book. This is more for romantic relationships, but it really applies to any kind of relationship. So I want to talk to you today specifically about something that Dr. Van Epp says in this book, and that is called the relationship attachment model. And so here we can see that there are 5 sliders. So why it's called a slider is because you see those horizontal lines. Picture them as like a bar, so they can slide up and down. So we have know, trust, rely, commit, and touch. These are all really important things within a relationship. I love this because Dr. Van Epp lays this out very clearly. And if you look at it, each of those things really are so crucial into a relationship and stuff that I really value in a relationship. So, for example, how this works is all of these things are important, right? And we need each of them. But sometimes there is more emphasis on one than the other, and then other things get forgotten about. So let's say that like you are really good, like you have a lot of trust with whoever this other person is in the relationship, and so that bar is like all the way up really high, but maybe they don't feel like you're really committed to them all the way, so that bar would go down. But that can change over time, because obviously none of us are perfect at each of these things every day, but what matters is that you're working on them, and so those sliders can go up and down. So as we look at this, just think about your relationships and maybe something that you can put a little bit more effort into out of one of these sliders. Maybe slide the bar up a little bit and put just as much emphasis on it as you are with some of the other things. And that leads us to doing your part. I know I always heard growing up that a relationship is 50-50. You both give 50, you meet in the middle. But I disagree with that. I think that a relationship needs to be 100% and 100%. Two whole people coming together and working together. And although it's not realistic for all of us to be 100% every day, sometimes someone will be lacking a little bit and the other person will have to help make up for that a little. But then the next day it might be the other way around. So it's important to really be giving your all and not just expecting other people to help you have a healthy relationship. It really is up to you in the end. So what does this really mean for you? Well, let's talk about it. Let's review a little bit what we talked about today. So first things first, communication is key. Without good communication, nothing else is going to matter. All those sliders are amazing, but without communicating how you're feeling in each of those areas, it's going to be really hard to figure out where your relationship might be lacking. And then we have the relationship attachment model, which includes know, trust, rely, commit, and touch. Each of those things are crucial to a healthy relationship. So I want you to think about one of these areas, whether it's communication or one of the 5 areas in the RAM plan, and think about a specific person who you want to work on your relationship with. And now think about how you're going to use one of those things to improve your relationship in that area. So some examples might be just taking that time every day to communicate with them without distractions, or just validate them your commitment through your words. Just let them know that you love them and remind them of that every day. There's a lot of amazing things you can do to improve your relationships, and that just leaves us with doing your part. As long as you are doing something every day or just working towards something that's going to improve your relationship, you can have healthy and happy relationships. And I promise that your partner will notice that. They'll notice the effort that you're putting in, and it will motivate them to put in that effort as well. So I hope that you were able to learn something today, and thank you so much for joining me.